Think about this. Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Coca-Cola is a very good example of an in perpetuity NDA. So
Okay.
anyone who developed the ingredients, or I guess they call it the formula for Coca-Cola, that's a trade secret. They actually didn't even file a patent for it, because if they had filed a patent, it would have become public knowledge.
After so many years. Right.
So it's a trade secret and it's perpetual. So anyone who worked on that formula has been sworn to secrecy for their entire lifetime.
That is so cool.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to My Lawyer Friend. I'm your host, Ann Easton.
And I'm your co-host, Brittany Ledford. We're here to break down legal topics and lifestyle commentary with our lawyer friend, Ann.
That's us. Casual, informative, and always real. Let's get into it. Before we start, the information, opinions, and recommendations presented on My Lawyer Friend podcast are for general informational purposes only and shouldn't be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. You shouldn't act or refrain from acting on the basis of any content included on this podcast without seeking legal or other professional advice. We are simply providing insight into our past professional experiences, and should you need legal advice, you can certainly contact me, or we can connect you with an able-minded attorney. Britt, how was everything this last week? I mean, we haven't been together this whole week.
I
It's
know.
like the first time in a while.
We had a little distance. Just got back from a beautiful little lake in Michigan.
Not Lake Michigan.
Not Lake Michigan. It
But-
is a beautiful little lake. And I was with some this sounds very strange, 9 of my guy friends, coworkers.
Yeah.
And now
But great.
friends and family.
Yeah,
They're
of course.
family. They're my
But
family.
there was like not one other woman.
No, I'm the only girl.
Amazing.
And I intend to keep it that way. These men are
I bet.
amazing people. They're just, I said, you know what's crazy? I never feel uncomfortable around you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never known that there were 10 normal men that could be in the same room together at once. I mean, let's be honest, it's women too.
Right.
But to find 10 normal men that are cool as hell, so much fun, so respectful of me, but also just treat me like I'm one of them in a
Right?
very cool way.
Yeah, it's nice.
I tell you, every girl who's interested should have her 10
Her 10
best
guys.
guy friends.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I think that maybe it only works for like single women a lot of the time.
You know, the thought crossed my mind while I was there. I said, gosh, if I were in a relationship, I'll be honest, I haven't been in many of those sketchy relationships where I'm controlled. I have had a few with the narcissist, but
Haven't we all?
I'll be honest, I've been very lucky in dating really amazing men who trusted me, and it was not an issue. It was, you know, I don't know, I guess our integrity, both of us, our integrity spoke for itself. And so I would never do anything to make them feel uncomfortable. It would have been a conversation prior. And for the people who aren't privy to what I was doing, this was a work trip.
Yeah.
So this is
it was
not
totally a work trip.
Yeah. So this was scheduled. It was, work stuff. Yes, I happen to be a female. I'm the DEI individual of that group. And although they claim I'm not, I'm more of,
Is there anyone else that represents the DEI community?
not in my group. I
Yeah,
am
I
that
feel
person,
that's-
although I in no way,
Well,
they
I mean,
say I
it's
don't
like-
qualify because I act just like them. I'm one of the
Right.
guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it was really fun. And it sounded, so the other day, actually, I was sending Brittany some information about our episode that we're going to talk about here, which we're going to talk about some fun, interesting stuff today. But her response was, usually we do all these voice notes back and forth to each other. And her response was, she's like, that's fantastic news. I'm cracking a beer in honor of that. And it was like 10:30.
It was 10:30.
She was on the lake. She was on the lake.
It was a beer. And for those of you who don't know, I have been a non-drinker for 2 years for health reasons. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing ride. And it truly did turn my life around. And I've come out of that for a little bit lately, and I'll have a beer here and there. And I will say I indulged daily. But there was a little discussion beforehand. Are you going to be fun this year, or are you just not going to drink?
Oh, wow.
So when I got giggly, they noticed. They said, "Oh my goodness, I've never seen this side of you."
I
And
know, it's fun.
a lot of laughing and fun.
But yeah, of course, we accept everyone's choices.
Oh, of
no
course,
matter
I
what they
definitely.
decide.
I think a lot of people these days are moving towards the other substances of choice. So
Yeah. What would we call those? Like
Well, anything from
psilocybin,
edibles,
maybe?
psilocybin.
Yeah. We could go down a rabbit hole. We haven't even gotten into what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. So what we're going to talk about today are non-disclosure agreements, otherwise known as NDAs, and everything that is usually in them, what you need to be prepared for when one of these things ultimately falls in your lap and you're asked to sign it, with 5 minutes notice. And we're also going to talk about hobbies and like work-life balance, because we're kind of leading from what we've talked about with Leia, right? Our last guest.
Yeah,
right?
I think this is kind of a good transition from the fun conversation we had, just to kind of extend this out a little bit to consider what this looks like in the workforce, what this looks like in the professional world.
Totally.
And what I say this was noodling for those of you who didn't catch the previous episode. And
please go listen to
listen
noodling.
to it. Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
A fun prequel to what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Britt, have you ever signed an NDA before?
I have signed a few NDAs in the past. I will say the ones that I've signed the most would be an NDA clause in a contract that I'm signing for work. And it mostly had to do with, if I was doing contract work with a distributor in the medical field, then the NDA clause would exist to protect, theoretically, the person that was the distributor or principal holding that contract. And just to say, hey, no trade secrets should be shared. Any information that's proprietary to us, or any professional information that is, regarding, I guess, this particular business should not be shared with anyone outside of the organization.
Right. Yeah.
And I've always wondered how enforceable, I was never intending on sharing anything that was proprietary. There's not a lot that's proprietary.
But so what you're saying is that it was actually just a clause within it.
Mine was mostly a clause.
It was just within your overall agreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's differences.
And then I'm curious about the enforceability of it. I've always been curious about how enforceable is it? Will someone come back to me one day and say, hey, you mentioned this and maybe I forgot that I'd signed an NDA. So I'm ready to get into this.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So I guess I can talk about what, an NDA is and how it kind of operates. I mean, so obviously there are NDAs that are full agreements where that's the only thing that you're entering into is a non-disclosure agreement. And there are other things where it's just a confidentiality clause within an agreement, maybe like an employment agreement, or which is actually really common, or like a settlement agreement, or even a severance agreement. And within those, so everybody understands, confidentiality and non-disclosure are interchangeable terms. So if you see either of those terms, they mean the same thing. But an NDA, you're entering into it because you have some sort of a relationship with either an entity or another individual who has secret information or some sort of information that is probably worth something, and they don't want you to share that information with somebody else. Usually it's like a trade secret or, a storyline for a film,
I would say,
or an invention, or like that you're putting
my
into
perspective, it's, the proprietary information that you as a business owner or it's boss
proprietary information
or anything would have built business plans, even anything that you want to keep confidential.
Exactly.
Information about your business. It's yours. You built it. You're running it.
Mm-hmm. And you have to, that's the scary thing, is that when you're running a business like that and you know that you have a good idea and you have to delegate some things, you have to give people the ability to learn about your invention or whatever it is that you're working on, and they could potentially steal it. And that's why NDAs are not completely the devil.
Yeah, I think this is something that I'm thinking from myself being asked to sign an NDA, but now looking at it from a perspective of asking someone to sign an NDA, I'm just as scared that my information is going to be put out there to people that could harm the business that I've built. And so I think there's fear on both sides. And this makes me feel a little bit better knowing that no one's out to get me when they're asking me to sign this. They're actually trying to protect me and them.
Yeah. And because of that, they have to have a legitimate business interest, essentially, in order to protect that information. And if they don't, or if they're doing it in order to conceal, illegal activity, then that NDA could be completely invalid, or that clause could be invalid. But that's just like the basic overarching thing. And the other thing is that sometimes they're drafted as for the benefit of one party. You can also have a mutual NDA where both parties are revealing private information or confidential information. And it's drafted in such a way that makes it so that either party, when they are given confidential information, they have to keep that information private. And we actually have a little agreement here, and sometimes it's going to look like this.
That's teeny tiny writing. That's
teeny
really,
tiny writing.
It's
because
intimidating.
They want you to put it on one piece of paper.
Okay.
We want you to sign it, and we want to be like, oh no, it's on one piece of paper. It's fine. This is this is 8 point
micro
font.
writing. Yeah, microtype.
But it feels so clean to me. This looks sexy to me.
It looks scary to me.
I know. I have a problem.
You're a contract person, and you do this every day. I would look at this and say, that's a lot. I need to get back to you.
Yeah.
What do I need to look at further to make sure that I'm not signing my life away and I'm not compromising myself?
So yeah, we have this NDA here that I clearly think is kind of sexy because it's one page and it's small writing and it's got it just looks so perfect.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now and I'm looking at a few things that I'd like to point out. You're really comfortable with these, right? And so someone like myself, the layperson, would look at this and say, first of all, microtype.
Yeah.
Second of all, a lot of words I don't know. Mm-hmm. I want to start with this. Can you talk a little bit more about scope and what that means for me and what I should be looking out for in that part of this contract?
Yeah. I mean, sure. It can. So it depends on what kind of contract you're entering into. I mean, and what type of project and what sort of employer you're signing a contract with, right? So this one is actually drafted for a podcast, a TV show, or like a motion picture, something like that. And the way that it's drafted is actually covering what types of people you can talk to about anything that you're learning from the TV show. So like a TV show that's going to be released, say on Netflix, we don't want the storyline or like the end of a series to be released to the public before Netflix has chosen to release it, right? Okay. So that type of stuff will be in the scope of what that confidentiality is and what type of it'll say the third parties that you cannot share that information with, basically.
Okay. The other part of that though is I'm looking on this contract and the other thing that jumps out to me is the term. So how long? Okay. Is there ever a time when it's in perpetuity or do these things expire? Are you always held to this contract? I don't like the idea of a lifetime of anything.
So let's just be clear really quick. So in perpetuity, for those who don't know, means that it could last forever, like indefinitely, essentially. Yeah. And I don't think that the term will ever really say in perpetuity, but the way that they do it, which is very lawyerly. It says that it's for a term of 3 years, but it automatically renews unless either party terminates the agreement, right?
Okay.
So if neither party terminates it, it becomes perpetual.
Oh, so you would need written agreements from the person who signed either side of it to terminate this.
Saying this is no longer valid.
Okay. That was a question I'd had before about how does this terminate at any point?
But that's really common and you'll see that. And that kind of means that it's perpetual.
That's scary. I'm not going to lie here, Anne.
It really could. I know. And the greatest thing, think about this, Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Coca-Cola is a very good example of an in perpetuity NDA.
Okay.
So anyone who developed the ingredients, or I guess they call it the formula for Coca-Cola, that's a trade secret. And that has been kept a secret. They actually didn't even file a patent for it. And because if they had filed a patent, it would have become public knowledge.
After so many years, right.
So it's a trade secret and it's perpetual. So anyone who worked on that formula has been sworn to secrecy for their entire lifetime.
That is so cool. I do have to ask, though, other than the things I've pointed out, what else would you say that myself, the layperson, would want to look out for with a quick glance at an NDA? Are there any other items that I should look out for and be able to fully understand before signing this in that 15-minute window, if that's what I was given?
Non-disparagement is a huge topic, and it's actually been very much politicized in the recent past because of the Me Too movement, as well as a bunch of other different movements that had to do with it, because so non-disparagement essentially means that you cannot speak poorly about the employer or whoever the company is that you've entered into this agreement with. And it isn't as common in the NDAs that I've seen, like in this one, because it's about a production. This is based on one production. And if you say something bad about like a huge company, like say it's like Walt Disney or something, and you say something bad about Walt Disney, but if it says like you can't say anything bad about the production, you can't stop someone and chill free speech in that way, right? That's the idea, is that you shouldn't be able to do that. But what's happened is that a lot of companies have been so scared that like they're doing nefarious things that potentially are bad for the environment or are is upsetting to maybe certain sects of society, and they then put these clauses into agreements like this, into confidentiality clauses as well as into NDAs, that say you cannot say anything bad about the company, about our projects that we've worked on, about your other fellow employees, and it's like super broad reaching. And usually, because these things have chilled free speech in a lot of ways, they actually have been found to be invalid because they are too broad. And the great thing is that the legislature has handled this in a lot of different ways, and they say that they have to be narrowly tailored, those types of clauses. So if you see something that says non-disparaging in one of those these agreements that you have to sign, pay close attention to whatever that's saying, because it may say all these things. You can't say anything bad about us. You can't say blah, 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 blah. However, if they have another paragraph or another sentence that says, this is my favorite phrase, notwithstanding the foregoing, basically negates everything that's above it.
Okay.
And essentially it says, notwithstanding the foregoing, if, what you've experienced is harassment, retaliation, or anything else that's illegal conduct, you do not have to abide by this, and you can tell a court of law, or you have to respect a court order.
This is great.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's definitely the rule in California. It's not the rule everywhere. However, every state does have rules that do protect you. Some of them are not as limiting as in California. So be really careful no matter what state you're in. If you sign an NDA, check what the rules are in that state.
So I guess to clarify, because I just recently saw a show about a group that these kids signed these NDAs, went to work for this company, bad things did happen, and they feel stuck in this NDA. They can't speak out. So are you saying that if you're in California, that clause must be in the NDA, notwithstanding the foregoing? Did you say notwithstanding the foregoing?
Notwithstanding the foregoing, or like, the other one is notwithstanding anything to the contrary herein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something that must be in a California NDA, or is
no,
there still room for this to be something where someone gets stuck in an NDA and something bad happens and they're stuck in the NDA and they can't say anything?
Well, the greatest thing is that because of what the rules are in California now, is if they don't have one of those notwithstanding phrases that basically says that you can do whatever you need to if there's a violation of public policy.
Sure.
You don't have to abide by it because it would be probably found to be an invalid clause.
Okay.
Especially by the California legislature or the
breaking the law or doing something
judiciary.
unethical or illegal or something against policy, public policy, would then negate anything that was covered in that NDA, is what I'm hearing you say.
Well, yes. So if it was ever brought to court, essentially,
right?
Like a judge would look at that, and that's actually called, they call it the red pen doctrine, essentially. And I'm not sure if California actually uses the red pen doctrine. I know that Nebraska was one of them randomly, but they've found, they actually haven't for non-disparagement clauses, but for non-compete clauses, they've found in a lot of different courts that if your non-compete clause, or if it's like, say it's a non-compete agreement, if one of the clauses is found to be violating public policy, they will make the entire contract invalid. Or if it's, say, just a non-compete clause within a general employment agreement, they'll make the non-compete clause invalid. But they'll ensure that the employee has the benefits of the rest of that agreement. So if it says that they had a term of having employment of, 2 years or something, the employee gets the benefit of that because the burden is on the drafter, which is usually the employer.
Okay.
Right?
That makes sense. That makes me feel better too. Yeah.
Right? I think that it should. It should make everybody feel better.
Oh, I like this. So California law is protecting us in that way.
But it's not just California law. It's a lot of other states.
A lot of other states.
A lot of other states are covering us.
So you're saying if you're not in California, check your whatever state you're in. Just
check non-disparagement, check non-competes,
okay,
and check what the rules are.
Okay.
And God, AI, dude, AI gives us so much information and it gives it to you very quickly. However, always, I know, unfortunately, and we will talk about this on another episode. Unfortunately, what AI does is it only collects things that are on the internet that's publicly available. So make sure that those little things that come up that AI has given you, make sure that whatever like links are included, that you go to whatever link that is and make sure it's not just like a random guy who wrote a law journal article, and ensure that it's like actual facts.
A legitimate backing. Yeah. Fact check your AI.
Mm-hmm. You really do. You have to fact check your AI.
I wonder if we'll get to a place where we don't have to one day. I think we will. But I think I'd said before, I would be concerned in reading this NDA in 15 minutes and being, oh my goodness, the pressure of signing it.
I know.
I see this thing saying consequences of breach, and I'm thinking consequences of my actions. Like, exactly. I can hear my mom right now.
Yeah.
The consequences of your actions. Is this kind of the same thing of, these are the consequences that you would, suffer if you break this NDA by disclosing information that is confidential? Can you give us a deeper dive into what that looks like, and kind of, is there any watch out we should be concerned about in a quick look at an NDA like this?
Well, honestly, like, to help you feel better even about that, I know that consequences sound scary, but it's really not. Like, what they can do, it basically is going to say, which I never give someone the ability to have injunctive relief on the entertainment side. And injunctive relief means that someone, like that you can stop someone from speaking. Essentially, you go to a court and you get a court order saying that this person can't speak anymore, or can't do whatever their action is anymore. And it effectively stops you.
Is that like a gag order? Is that similar or no?
No. Okay. Well, I mean, it's a gag order in a sense that, like, you can't speak until the court has reviewed all of this information and reviewed the validity of the contract and all these different things. Okay. But confidentiality generally is that in terms of NDAs, and that's really on the entertainment side. And it is on kind of probably the employer side, because they have to assess whether or not you're allowed to be speaking based on what their terms have said. And all the lawyers have to come in and weigh in and decide. And obviously the judge decides as well. But with confidentiality also, this is the big thing that people get afraid of, especially on the entertainment side, and maybe even in with regard to patents. And I will say I am not a patent expert. I do IP, but I do copyrights and trademarks. I do not do patents. It actually requires a separate bar license. You have to pass another bar. Mm-hmm. And I actually can't even take the patent bar because I didn't study a science in undergrad. Okay. You have to have studied a science in undergrad. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Right?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting information. But we're talking about consequences.
Consequences, just really quick.
Sure.
Some of these say that if you reveal some sort of information that you're saying that you won't reveal by signing this agreement, you will have to pay like $1 million.
Yes, that scares me.
Mm-hmm. Of course it does. It scares everybody.
Am I going to have to pay $1 million if I slip up and say something I'm not? I talk a lot.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, that's the funny thing, is that, like, there are examples of, actors saying, I accidentally said to somebody when I was like out at a party what happened at the end of the show. And it's like, she probably got really lucky because the end of the show was released maybe like a week later, and whoever it was that she showed or told this to didn't tell the general public. But she'd probably be under a lot of pressure, and there would be bigger issues if it had become a thing where everyone found out about the plot or the series finale of a TV show.
What does this look like for someone signing an NDA coming in as a contract worker, or someone that works in business that is, in my case, I'm thinking, how would this look for myself? I've built businesses. I do have proprietary information. A lot of it's business related. What are the consequences that I could put on an NDA or I guess instead of that,
if you revealed the confidential information?
If someone that signed an NDA for me, one of my NDAs, which would be a contract worker in that case, if they divulged information that I had previously said this is confidential, would they suffer consequences? Can I turn around and, not that I'm looking to sue someone for $1 million, don't get me wrong, but is that what that looks like for us? I would turn around and sue them, or would I have to, what are the consequences?
If one of your employees revealed,
yes. Do I have to determine damages? And then from there, is there usually legal proceedings or slap on the wrist for that person? What does that look like?
That's kind of what happens, is that you get to set what your damages are. And that's what's tough about setting damages, is that it's kind of conjecture, what you think could happen. And we can get into that whole thing. It's like consequential damages and, God, I'm bringing me back to law school here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they, like, a good example would be that lawsuit with Blake Lively and
Justin Baldoni.
Justin Baldoni.
Okay.
Yeah. She sued him, obviously, for harassment and all these different things. And then he sued her back. He countersued for like tarnishing his, reputation or whatever. Yeah. So he put that at like $400 million or something. Okay. And this is only an example about like setting how much your damages are. Okay. Because he's setting that I could make $400 million over the course of my lifetime in my career, and you've effectively impacted my entire career. Okay. So that is kind of how lawyers look at that. And that's how they set those damages. Usually they set them really, really, really high. Okay. And you likely won't
negotiate
get that
it down.
Or usually it's not negotiated. Okay. You don't want to negotiate it down.
But I didn't know if the other side would negotiate it down from
of course they would, yeah.
But
it would be a court, and it would, in all likelihood, be a jury that would decide that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a lot, but I think it's really helpful. Right? I think I came in here with a lot of nerves about an NDA, and now I'm starting to think, oh, okay, don't be afraid. Read through this. Look at these points you've pointed out. I wanted to ask you, is there anything else before we transition today that you think is important for me to look at?
I think what I said, remember to look through what the scope of the confidentiality terms are.
So scope.
And definitely look for words like non-disparagement. Okay. Look for words about what other parties you can share things with, and look at what the exclusions are. And if there's something in there, I mean, especially, I think that this is a big deal for maybe like an engineer who's working for, say, Google or something, and they've been working there for a long time. Yeah. And they've learned particular like things from Google, and they've maybe invented something. This is where I think it's really a big deal for those people from being kind of silenced and bound by these NDAs, because they can't transfer those skills to another employer. And even if it isn't like a direct competitor of them, they aren't able to use those skills. And I think that that's what needs to be targeted more. And I think it is being targeted more. But those are the types of things that you should be looking for. And you can actually, if you want to, especially in an employment agreement, you can ask for carve-outs to say, I need to be able to know that in the future, if I ever leave this company, that I'll be able to use my knowledge base to an extent, and I won't, share your trade secret, or I won't share like specific business practices. But if I was the one who like coined this and it came from my brain, I did this, then I mean, maybe there'd be an ability to carve it out. I would hope. I don't know if that's working, but
I think the owner,
because I'm not a patent lawyer, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, and what do I know? I'm just, working in small business, but I could see where on one side of it, the business owner would say, well, I paid you that, it was my time, my resources for you to produce this thing. And the person who did it would say, well, it was my brain, my me at myself.
It's a work for hire.
Yeah. Right. So I guess it's an interesting kind of dance that would happen with that. This is very interesting.
But ultimately, there are so many laws that protect whistleblowers. So if for whatever reason you didn't have enough time to review it, or you signed something that you didn't feel comfortable with, and your gut is saying like, shoot, I shouldn't have signed this, and I don't know what I'm signing away, essentially. And does this mean that I can't? Well, it's not that you can get out of it, but you are protected if someone's doing something illegal, if they've harassed you, if they're retaliating against you, or if there's some sort of an agreement It doesn't have to be just sexual harassment. It could be anything, any type of harassment or retaliation against you for exercising your rights of free speech or exercising your rights to protect yourself in whatever way you need to. Those whistleblower laws all over the U.S., and there's different ones in every state, will protect you. And actually, I think that there's some federal laws that actually protect you as well. So the federal laws would probably govern anything that has to do with interstate commerce.
Wow.
I know, right? And a good example would be the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which actually came about because of the Enron scandal.
Yes.
While it is scary signing these, there are a lot of protections in place, and it is changing constantly. So, but I think that we should have faith in our government and in what our legislature is doing, and the idea that we are trying to protect the people from overreach of all kinds, essentially.
This is great. I honestly feel, I guess, I hate to say better, but I do feel a little more comfortable from the side of the signer of this NDA.
Good.
Being that I'm empowered now. I feel like these are things I can look for. I know now that the law is there to protect me.
Yeah.
Before I didn't really know. I feel like when you're not in the know, you can easily get taken advantage of.
I know. But it's also a lot of people are afraid, and it's because it's a contract that they have to sign really quickly, and they're like, oh my God, I can't say anything. But the laws are actually here to protect us. Like, I actually said something to my mother the other day, who's like a notorious rule follower.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, who do you think made these rules?
The people who broke them?
Like us, human beings.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh, well, no, the legislators. I'm like, well, Mom, I could go be a legislator. I could go be one of those people who makes the rules. Like, I was like, what do you think civil disobedience is? Like, we actually can change the law if we want to. Like, that's the beauty of this country.
Yeah.
So let's utilize it.
But as I whispered, those who make them are usually ones who break them. Not always, just kidding.
That's true, right?
And that was a great first topic for the day, NDAs. But I want to lighten things up a little bit.
Let's do it. Let's get things light.
You want to lighten it up? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to really talk about today, leading from a place last week of noodling, those of you who don't know, go find it out on our last episode, figure it out. But I want to talk about work-life balance for the high-stress professionals. We are both high-stress professionals in very prestigious positions. And
prestigious. Ooh,
I would say.
Me seem very fancy.
Oh, you're fancy.
You fancy, huh?
And what does that look like?
Isn't that a song? You fancy, huh?
That would be Reba McEntire.
You know the song and the person who sang it? Oh my gosh. I
absolutely do. I sat across from her one night at dinner, and I was just,
were you mesmerized? Oh my gosh.
Mesmerized.
What does she look? Who is this person?
She is an iconic country singer.
Is she?
Time has been so great to her.
She's
stunning.
Nice.
Doesn't age. She just kind of stopped aging. I don't know at what age, but she doesn't age. She's stunning, very classy lady. I sat across from her at dinner.
Amazing.
South Beverly Grill, actually.
Really? God,
yeah.
South Beverly Grill. It's a good place.
It's just,
it's like the place to do business.
Consistent.
It's very consistent.
It's very consistent.
You know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I like consistency in men, in restaurants, in life. Not always, but definitely men in restaurants.
Do you?
Yeah. I think that's what I've been like, what I've missed is consistency with a partner. Yeah.
I could see that. And you're a lawyer.
I've had one man who was very consistent and wonderful, but didn't work out.
What happened?
That's not what's
We're
happening
not doing that today?
Nope, not today.
So you want to talk about work-life balance for the high-stressed individual?
Let's talk about it.
What does that look like for you? You have been on a journey this year, and I've been front row watching you blossom. I'm so excited to see this because I know what last year looked like for you, and I know my own trials and tribulations I've been through. And so seeing someone I adore and care about go through this and come out of it in such a beautiful way has been exciting. Right. However, you are in a different phase. You're in a different, right now, your world looks so different in the sense that you don't have that consistency.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't have balance. Can you start off with you don't have balance right now, let's be honest, because you're doing new things, you're learning new things, you built a business, you're now doing creative projects, and your schedule is full to the max.
It really is, yeah.
What does that look like for you? What does it even mean to you to have work-life balance at this point in your life, now that you're not that you're ever 9-to-5er, but now that you're not corporate?
That's a great question. So when I was corporate, when I was working at a law firm, I actually would call it stealing my time back when I did something for myself.
Wow.
Because I actually, and I don't care anymore, on Thursday mornings, I would go from 9 to 11:30 to a yoga class. Really? And it was 9 to like 10:45.
Yeah.
But then it was a sweaty yoga class, so I'd have to go home and shower and everything. So I was not available for like almost 2 hours on a Thursday morning.
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours on a Thursday morning. And that's pretty brazen.
That's bold.
Pretty bold. And I think, I don't recommend that when you're doing a 9-to-5, because it did bite me in the ass a couple of times, because it was like, why aren't you available? Why didn't you answer your phone for 2 hours? I'm like, oh, I was at a doctor appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Always a doctor appointment. Always.
Okay. So these people probably thought, wow, she's really not well. I'm not going to ask.
She's really unwell.
They only knew.
If they only knew I was at yoga. Honestly, it is kind of like my doctor appointment. But
I find this fascinating, Anne. I find it fascinating because you are such a regimented person. You are not necessarily regimented. You're
I had to steal
very
it back.
determined. You're very, you have a schedule and you are very dependable. Mm-hmm. So it's so shocking to hear you say that you actually went a little, in my opinion, a little rogue for the corporate person.
Honestly, because I felt so taken advantage of. I felt like so much was being stolen from me.
Yeah.
In multiple different ways. And I didn't maybe even know it consciously.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, it's how I felt.
Was this kind of an FU to the man?
Or
was it less of that and more of a doing something for yourself?
It was more they're not going to tell me to do this for myself. They're going to tell me to do chair yoga at my desk for 20 minutes. And that's not going to help me. What's going to help me is to take 2 hours where I put my phone in my car and I cannot be contacted, and I actually breathe and I do something good for my soul. Did
it feel so good?
It became my church.
Okay.
It literally became my church. Thursday mornings. Yeah.
So you could see a difference in how you show up on Friday and Monday, even for the weekend.
Totally. 100%.
And I see that a lot in people who just take the time, but I think it's such a taboo thing because we are all about productivity, work. If you're not here, you're not present. And then I also look at the people who are who said we need to work 9 to 5? 9 to 5, those are just hours. It's an arbitrary number in my very humble opinion.
It is arbitrary because we end up working way more than that.
We do, and we also don't get enough done. We're not efficient with our time when we're on this schedule of clocking in 9 to 5.
Yeah.
They say that people who do this are literally spending a few hours getting their day started. By the time they get it started, lunch is beginning. They take their lunch break. They might have gotten 45 minutes of work done in the morning after they've made their coffee, shuffled some papers around, talked at the water cooler, sat down, returned some emails, and then maybe gotten some productive work done. Lunch starts, and then you have the afternoon. Well, then you're tired. You've eaten.
Yeah.
You've had a very busy morning doing nothing.
Right.
And 5 o'clock rolls around.
And that's why it's like, so why are you requiring everyone to be at work every day, like 5 days a week?
Right.
Like, I mean, they've actually done multiple different studies that show that employees are actually more productive if they know that they have more days off. And if they know that they have to fit in all of their work into 4 days, they actually get the same amount of work done.
Do you remember if it said anything about like the?
I mean, it's in that book, The 4-Day Work Week.
Oh my goodness, I need to read this.
Yes, it's incredible.
I have an 8-day work week.
Yeah, I know. And that's kind of like what we were saying earlier is that like now as business owners, like as the owner, you are the one who cares the most about the success of your business, right? So you get to choose if you want to continue working every day. And I mean, I saw this firsthand when I was still at the law firm. I was living with a friend who who has her own startup company. And it's this incredible idea that she has that I will we'll hopefully have her on one day to talk about it. But she was constantly working. She was like, no, I work every day, but I love what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And she was like, this is what I do. I work, every day. But she would have moments in her day where she would be like, where she would exercise or where I could tell that like, that they're, they had closed a round of financing or something. And she would be exercising more and she'd be going on dates more and she'd like go shopping. But then when she was in that time period when she was building the company and people were relying on her and she was relying on herself because a lot of other investors were involved, you kind of can't put it down. Like I'm dreaming about this company now. Like I'm dreaming constantly about what we're doing here and where we could go with this. It doesn't turn off.
It definitely becomes that for you. And I've done this multiple times in multiple rounds. Even, I have a corporate job as well. And I'm very lucky. I work with a very wonderful group of people. Yeah. So I think the variability as well.
What do you do in order to relax from the fact that obviously you're very similar to me right now?
You're
what?
You're going to make me tell?
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, you're going to have to
And I'm
tell.
not even embarrassed about it.
I want you to tell us. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're not embarrassed, why?
As we all know, I'm a single mom of 4 children, four pets.
Yes.
I have a lot of spare time when I'm not working on one of my 25 projects. Yeah. Jobs, projects, businesses, whatever.
But go ahead.
Well, I have a little hobby and it is very funny. I don't know if anyone knows what this is, but it's called diamond art. It's basically a 7-year-old's kiddie project of sticking these little crystals on a sticky piece of paper to make art, to make pictures come to life. It's so funny because it's quite embarrassing for the person, outside looking in of like, what is this weirdo doing on a Saturday night watching a movie?
When we first started talking about all of this stuff, I would stay over and like, I think there was like a couple of times where I had to come up for I went to a Dodgers game with somebody and that's what you were doing when I came over.
Yes.
You were like
doing my
at your desk, you were at your desk and you're like, oh no, I'm not working anymore. And you're sitting at your desk with the door open, with the pigs around, and you were just like placing the little diamonds. Yes. And I was just like, you're like, oh no, I have a bunch on the kitchen table.
A stack.
Yeah, she has a stack of them.
So here's the truth about it. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with anything clinically, and I don't know if I really have ADHD or if I'm really just that passionate about working and being productive. I think it's the latter, but I genuinely cannot turn my brain off.
Yeah.
And I cannot, after so many hours of go.
Well, you're wind down.
I can't properly function and be productive in whatever I'm doing from a business aspect. So the emails become sloppy, the work becomes sloppy, and I get frustrated and I want to work till 9 p.m. every night. And it's just not feasible. So I learned that if I can do something that meaningless, menial, that uses less of my actual cognitive function, then I can zone out. But I can't zone out. Meditating for me is very, very, very hard. Yeah. I can't drop in as easily as some people. This is a little bit of a parlay for me. This is my form of meditation. And so I've been doing this to give my brain a break.
Right.
And yet
we should talk about meditation because meditation is a skill.
It is a skill. And I am a transcendental meditation person. I am trained. I do,
Are you?
I am. I know. Wow. Shocking. I know. Someone as hyper as I am.
But I mean, it's just interesting if you're trained in it and you don't do it. I mean, like I'm trained in, to be a yoga teacher and I definitely do yoga. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
I don't have a reason at this point why I don't do it other than it's very, very hard for me. And I definitely have gotten into phases where I've done it and I stick to the practice. And then other times it's bothersome.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a lot of times. So when I get my best ideas, I think a lot of people have this in common. I'm not special. It's in the shower or when I'm trying to go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
So I'd make notes beside my bed of all the things I need to do or things I need to tell someone or emails I need to send. at
because
night.
it actually is like a really healthy way to do that.
Yeah.
Writing things down, because it like exits your brain.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to think about it anymore. I put them on little notes on my phone.
Exactly.
But Mel Robbins tells me that I should put my phone out of my room at like, 9 p.m. before, when I'm getting like winding down in my bedroom.
There are a lot of tips out there.
I can't do that.
Here's what I say to that. And I think I love her. She is my church, but I think everyone has a different lifestyle. They have different circumstances. And I think ultimately we have so much information sent out to us every day from content creators that want to be relevant and help people. And I think ultimately we have to think, what works for me and my circumstance.
Right.
And
totally,
lighting candles at night, turning off the lights, and having a somber mood where it's calm, taking a hot bath with lavender.
Well, what you're talking about, Britt, is a routine.
It's a routine.
And like, that's what they say helps so much. Like, if you can get people who have a hard time putting all of their, like the face masks and all the things at night. It's like, they tell us that we have to put on all these things so that we can remain looking young for the rest of our lives and look like a teenager. But like, I actually really enjoy my routine that I do at night. And I feel almost kind of off if I don't do that routine. And it's actually become something that I do in the morning. And I think that these are things that help us probably, right? Like, and having that balance.
I like in the beginning, you said I was stealing my time back. And I think that for me, this is something that I probably don't do enough of. I'm very lucky in the sense that I work with great people and I never feel like my time is stolen from me. But what that says to me is you put yourself first. Right. And I think that ultimately when we talk about work-life balance, it really starts with boundaries, and that's you setting a boundary. Right. For me, I'm learning how to set a boundary. I had a friend years ago. She moved to Texas and she was just such a dear person and dear friend, and was actually in her wedding, and she would call me every afternoon on her way home from work, and we would chat, and then we would chat on her way home from work, and she'd say, okay, she's getting home. Her fiance's inside. He's home from work. And she would get off of the phone with me. We'd have great conversations. We maintained a long distance friendship, because even though she had moved away, and I had so much admiration for her, because when that phone went off, there was no more communication the rest of the night. I would think about something I forgot to tell her, and I'd call her back. Yeah. She wouldn't answer. She would address it in our next conversation days later. And I thought, and at first I was annoyed, and I was like, that's kind of cool, because this is boundary. This is what we're talking about when we talk about boundaries. This was so time healthy for her and her fiance to spend time together uninterrupted. Who does that?
I know.
Who out there listening does that? I can tell you, I don't do that.
Yeah. So I've started doing that, and I respect people for doing that. Yeah.
I do too. My issue is sleep, and it's boundaries, and it's turning the phone off or turning my brain off. And so for me, it's really about setting that mood, having that routine.
But Britt, this is an amazing example, actually, I think, for people that would maybe be listening to this, is that we are business owners. We get to make this decision now. Like, I actually had to say that I had to steal that time. I had to basically choose to not do that, because that's what was expected of me. I actually was told at some point in my career that I shouldn't have boundaries. And
you were told that?
Oh, yeah.
That you should not have boundaries?
Yeah.
What was the reason?
I can't get into it.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just,
but yes, that was like, I shouldn't have boundaries at work was what the situation was, because you should be available. And I think that that's actually really common
when you're trying to prove yourself, or
when you're trying to prove yourself.
Okay, got it.
But I think that any assistant who works in entertainment would understand that concept, right? Sure. And you kind of give up your entire life in order to like meet your dreams and to get meet the goals that you have set for yourself. But I think that what I started doing for myself was stealing it back, right? But what you're saying is that you get to say at 6 p.m., I'm not going to answer any more emails, because that's your boundary you're setting for yourself as the business owner. But like, as a person who's maybe an associate at a law firm or an assistant, like, they might lose their job if they don't have that phone on them. Like, I remember getting a call from my boss at 9 p.m. when I was on a second date with a guy that I really liked. And I was like, I have to take this call. I cannot not take this call. And I had to sit on the phone with him for 45 minutes. And it took took this boss like 45 minutes to ask me, oh, were you doing something? I was like, oh no, it's just 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. Who knows what I'm doing?
Wow.
Yeah. So, I
And
mean,
this was when you were younger. This is in your 20s, would you say? Or when you were earlier in your career? Or was this?
No.
Wow. I can see in the younger years this being like an issue. But I think as we get older, it's time to find our way. It's time,
right?
And maybe.
Well, I think the moral of this story and what we're trying to say is that we know that it's difficult for people who are younger in their careers and don't have the ability to set the types of boundaries that you and I are talking about. And it's difficult to have that work-life balance because of what's expected of you in the 9 to 5 setting, right? Because it isn't really 9 to 5. It's like 9 to 9, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think that what we should be talking about is finding those moments when you do have time for yourself and not feeling guilty for taking that time. Because I think that's part of what happens is like, I used to feel guilty for taking the time, but once I stopped feeling guilty was when I started feeling more free. Like and it's almost like a conscious decision that you have to make for yourself.
You just have to decide
right?
for yourself, and that's between you and yourself. Honestly, there's nothing anybody can do to change it, and you have to have enough. When enough is enough, I had enough. I could go into this long spiral on it, and working in surgery for many years and being on call and being called at 2 a.m. And I finally set that boundary as well. And before we get going tonight, I have a really fun question that I want to.
Yeah. Are you sure it's going to be fun, Britt? Are you?
I'm always fun.
Are you?
My questions are always fun. Last week was fun.
I know it was fun. Which one are we talking about?
So we've had some really fun conversations recently, and it got me thinking. I really want to know, what is your ick?
Yeah. So the funny thing is that I don't think I could think of like an ick that I had from any dating that I've had, maybe since my early 30s. But I had one recently. And what's sad is that this particular person is such a great guy, like so great on paper, like really, nice and tall and attractive and like works out, good body, like handsome, and then also has a great job so he's Italian, like literally the perfect man that you would think. And we were like sending each other pictures back and forth because we haven't seen each other. We were like, trying to like make the anticipation more exciting, right? And so I sent a couple of cute photos of myself, and then he was sending photos of himself, and he was on a vacation. It was his birthday, and so he was on a vacation that he had taken for himself. So he kept sending photos of himself in like weird angles, like a photo that was coming from like down here. So it was like a picture of his chin and he's just smiling. And I'm like, what? Okay, well, that's fine. But like, why are you sending me the same type of photo in different locations? Like you're just in a bus, and you don't look good.
And it's not a good angle.
And it's not a good angle.
You need good angles in the beginning.
Right? You need good angles in the beginning. And then finally, my last straw, which might not have been a last straw for anyone else. My last straw was a photo that he had taken of the beach, very harmless. But in that photo was a picture of 2 shoes that have Velcro on them and rubber soles. And they're very smart and sensible if you're in Italy or somewhere with rock beaches.
If you're hiking.
Or maybe if you're hiking, but not if you ever want to date Anne.
Were they Tevas?
I don't know what a Teva is. I just know what they look like.
They're Velcro?
Yeah.
With rubber.
And I just...
Probably Teva.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, never. This will never
You're
work.
done.
I'm done. I'm done. Completely dried.
Oh.
So that was my ick. And he couldn't come back from that. And I'm so sorry if you hear this.
Tis what it is.
But I do like somebody else too, so it's okay. Your turn. Tell me about your ick.
Oh man, I have to share, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm really just not into mama's boys.
Okay.
I just can't do it.
You just got us to the end of your ick. You didn't even lead us up to the story. Give me a story.
I'll tell you the story.
Okay. Who doesn't like, no,
Who does like
Who
mama's
does
boys?
like mama's
Look, I love a
boys?
man who's very respectful of women, who
And
honors,
loves their mother is fantastic. Right?
who honors his mother.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to compete with another woman, and I'm not with your mother. And I came out of hiding from not dating for quite a while, just really and truly just to keep that dating muscle going, not because I really wanted to date.
Mm-hmm.
Met a guy who was very funny. We had great conversations. I was excited to see him when we would see each other, and just a lot of things in common that really worked for me. And I noticed every Friday night he would have to go drive an hour and a half to see his mother, have dinner, etc. And I just kind of kept an eye on it. And this was a very short-term situation, few weeks. This was not dating.
Yeah.
And I was going to be out of town for 10 days, and it was a newer fling thing. I won't call it a relationship, but
Situation.
a new situation. And I said, look, I'm going to be gone for 10 days. If you'd like to see me, and I'd like to see you before I leave, why don't we spend a few days together over the weekend or something like that? He said, yes, we definitely should. We haven't spent enough time together. So yeah, it was Thursday. I'm like, should we make plans? And instead of making plans on Friday or Saturday, he chose to go down to see his mommy and do dinner with her. And I thought, okay, well, maybe she's ill. Maybe I don't want to pry. I'll try to be understanding. I mean, he's been there for the past several weeks to his mommy's, but, and this is a grown man.
I love that you're calling it his mommy's.
It's his mommy.
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, I'm like, okay, well, maybe he'll come back on Saturday. We'll do something on Saturday. Calls me at 2:00 and I'm busy. I'm not sitting worried about it at all. I just was, we'll see what happens.
Right.
I like for people to kind of show me who they are too. I don't want to dictate too much in the beginning. I want to let people show their, show me who they are.
Right.
And calls me at 2:00 in the afternoon. He's going to spend the night again with his mommy because she had friends coming in town that she wanted him to spend time with.
Oh, boy.
Sounds great. And he's like, maybe we can do something tomorrow. And I was like, yeah, I'll give you a call and we'll make plans.
Yeah.
That call never happened.
Of course not. No. Note to these men, it's so great to love your mother.
Love your mother.
But dear God, don't do things like that.
It's icky. It's weird.
And it's a Friday and it's Saturday night. It's very strange. But it's also, that's a boundary too. Like, make a boundary with your mom.
Yeah. Well,
like if your mom is like making you feel like you should be there all the time, that's the boundary you gotta set with your mama.
Yeah. I think this was an ick I was not willing to try to
even help him
redeem.
with.
Yeah. It was enough for me.
That's fair.
This was
totally
a great
fair
time today. I think I learned a lot about, I did learn a lot about NDAs. I definitely feel more comfortable. I'm also really excited to know what your ick is with the sandals, because I'll look out for in the future. I'll warn any men in the future that you're dating. You really
Hide should. Oh my God. If they own them and say I like them, tell them. I'm serious.
I will.
Because
I'll make sure they burn
it'll
up.
end. It'll end. Yeah. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening to my lawyer friend. And I think that's all for now, folks.
If you have any questions or other topics for us, please share them at hello@mylawyerfriendpodcast.com.
I just sounded like, is it Daffy Duck or like, that's all, folks?